WWE SummerSlam 2018. WWE SummerSlam 2018, Braun Strowman cashing in on Brock Lesnar in 5 smart booking decisions. WWE SummerSlam 2018 is headlined by Roman Reigns vs. Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship, The Miz vs. Daniel Bryan, and Samoa Joe vs. AJ Styles for the WWE title on what is shaping up to be a pivotal pay-per-view for WWE. The company, which has apparently been well aware that its product is struggling, has recently been plagued by historically poor viewership for both Raw, which generated its worst viewership ever last month, and SmackDown, which scored its lowest average audience of 2018 back in June. The good news is that WWE's viewership has trended back in the right direction since then, likely due to the intrigue surrounding Lesnar's future, the tremendous Miz vs. Bryan feud, and Ronda Rousey's match with Alexa Bliss. At least on paper, SummerSlam 2018 is shaping up to have one of the best non-WrestleMania cards in recent memory, and with WWE's TV viewership typically tending to skyrocket around SummerSlam time, WWE can regain some momentum for the post-SummerSlam season with a strong showing at SummerSlam itself. Especially as the fall TV competition begins to heat up thanks in large part to Monday Night Football, WWE needs to deliver the goods at a SummerSlam show that theoretically should set the stage for its biggest fall storylines. Of course, the success of SummerSlam will, as always, depend upon the booking of the show, its match outcomes, and what angles it sets in motion for September and beyond. Will WWE make the right choices this year? Here are 5 smart booking decisions WWE must make at SummerSlam 2018. AJ Styles has held the WWE Championship for nearly 300 days, his second lengthy world title reign after previously holding the title for 140 days from September 2016 to January 2017. Thus, there's no shame in the phenomenal one finally dropping the title at SummerSlam, especially to a tremendous all-around talent like Joe, who would benefit substantially from being the one to defeat the longest-reigning WWE champion since CM Punk in 2013. Perhaps the main reason why Styles even held the WWE title this long was to coincide with the reveal that he'd be the WWE 2K19 cover star, and now that the announcement is in the rear-view mirror, it's time for SmackDown to move on to something else after Styles has been the face of the brand and its world champion for much of the last 2 years. Styles is already firmly entrenched as top star, one of WWE's highest-paid wrestlers and perhaps its number 2 merchandise mover, so he won't be hurt by losing to a star of the caliber of Samoa Joe. Although the booking hasn't always been perfect in regards to Joe, a former NXT champion, there are plenty of signs that he is ready to be a consistent main eventer and top draw for SmackDown, from his merchandise sales to his YouTube viewership to his excellent promo skills to his history of main eventing a number of main roster PPVs despite a short run there. Samoa Joe is believable as they come in terms of being a tough, no-nonsense heel, and with the right mix of in-ring abilities, charisma and promo skills, he's perhaps the best choice SmackDown has to dethrone Styles. That's certainly not a criticism of Styles, who has demonstrated over the last 2.5 years that he is more than capable of carrying a brand. It's just that WWE is nearing the 300-day mark with Styles as champion, and it's around that time that a superstar's title reign can get quite stale, which is something WWE shouldn't risk with Styles. Therefore, the company should move forward with Joe as champion, let him and Styles battle it out one more time at Hell in a Cell, and then see what Joe can do as the show's top title holder this fall. There still is no definitive word on whether or not Daniel Bryan has resigned with WWE, with some reports stating he has struck a new deal, others indicating that he hasn't, and one stating that WWE is upset he hasn't inked a new deal yet. Of course, the outcome of Bryan's match with The Miz at SummerSlam, the climax of one of WWE's best feuds this decade, will depend heavily upon whether or not Bryan has agreed to stay with the company. In fact, Wrestling Standard notes that Miz will win if Bryan is leaving while Bryan will win if he is staying. The Miz is expected to be victorious. Additionally, there have been loose talks of Bryan defeating The Miz at SummerSlam, if Bryan was to sign a contract extension, and carrying on their feud with a final match at Hell in a Cell. But regardless of whether Bryan ultimately chooses to stay or leave, and many signs are pointing to the former happening, he should lose at SummerSlam. Yes, the booking of Bryan hasn't exactly been spot on since Bryan returned to the ring at WrestleMania 34, but from a storytelling perspective, it makes more sense for WWE to continue his red-hot feud with The Miz for as long as it's sizzling, which means it shouldn't begin with a resounding win for Bryan. The better option is for Miz to beat Bryan, preferably in cheap fashion, holding the tights, an assist from Maurice, etc., because that will add another layer to the story of The Miz recently claiming that Bryan is no longer on his level. If Miz wins their SummerSlam bout, there will be some truth to that claim, but his victory will have come in a way that really makes fans despise him even more if that's how Bryan's last PPV bout ends, while also doing the same if Bryan stays and their feud continues to September's Hell in a Cell. The Miz is already a heat magnet, but WWE has a chance to send him to the next stratosphere of heel heat by having him topple Bryan, which will also have the added benefit of making Bryan an even more likable babyface if he stays with WWE, which he said just this week he's leaning toward doing. Drew McIntyre will be in the corner of Dolph Ziggler for his Intercontinental title match against Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. And though that bout involves one of WWE's most prestigious titles and a red-hot star in Rollins, it should be more about establishing McIntyre as WWE's next big thing than anything else. In 2018, WWE has done a fantastic job of protecting Rollins, who has won virtually every major match he's had and has only lost in ways that still make him look good. Because of that, crowd reactions suggest Rollins is currently WWE's most popular star, while his impressive merchandise sales and strong YouTube viewership certainly support the notion that fans are gravitating toward him in a way like they never have in the past. An IC title win for Rollins would be a step back, however, so WWE should use this match as a way to move Rollins away from the IC title picture, continue his compelling reunion with Dean Ambrose and help ignite a massive push for McIntyre. With Rollins recently setting records on Raw and becoming the first star to main event a PPV in an Intercontinental title match in 2 decades, it's clear WWE has big plans for him in the future, but because he currently doesn't figure into the Universal Championship picture, it would be wise of WWE to use him to elevate McIntyre at SummerSlam. Both Vince McMahon and Triple H have taken a keen interest in the portrayal and push of McIntyre, and McMahon reportedly wants to gradually establish McIntyre as a main eventer. That's a smart path to take because we all saw how a rushed push for Jinder Mahal was rejected by fans, and that shouldn't happen with McIntyre, who is a much better overall talent than Mahal is. At the same time, Raw is clearly lacking on the heel side. And with the questionable booking of guys like Elias, Kevin Owens and Baron Corbin really hurting the perception of those stars in the eyes of fans, McIntyre is the one star with a relatively clean slate who could give the Red brand the #1 villain it desperately needs. Thus, McIntyre's rise to the top of the heel side on Raw should start at SummerSlam, when he'll take part in a major match with a high-profile star and may be involved in a big future match that should set him up for plenty of future success. On the heels of Stephanie McMahon's blockbuster announcement that WWE will now soon host an all-women's pay-per-view, Evolution, it only makes sense to put the Raw Women's Championship on Ronda Rousey. At a time when WWE's female superstars are becoming big draws in their own rights, Rousey is easily the biggest. Perhaps the world's most famous female athlete and one of the biggest draws in UFC history, Rousey is someone WWE should continue to build around at a time when the spotlight on its women's division has never been brighter. That means she should defeat Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's title at SummerSlam, when Raw typically has a much bigger viewing audience than it does throughout the rest of the year, other than at WrestleMania time. Having Rousey defeat Bliss at SummerSlam is a surefire way for WWE to garner the mainstream media attention it so desperately craves, all while putting its top women's title around the waist of a tremendous in-ring performer and must-see attraction just before the first all-female PPV in company history. With the previous Mae Young Classic drawing very well on the WWE Network and Triple H noting that the women's division often outdraws the men's division in terms of TV viewership, it is essentially a no-brainer for WWE to capitalize on the popularity of women's wrestling and to use Rousey as the vehicle to accomplish that goal. While some die-hard fans may not be thrilled with a rookie like Rousey winning the title just 4 months after having her first televised bout, that would be a smart, shrewd and sensible business move that would result in additional exposure for not just Rousey but WWE and the women's division as well. There is a handful of different options for the potential outcome of the Universal Championship match between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. Potentially, we could see one of 4 stars leave the PPV as champion: Lesnar, Reigns, Braun Strowman or Kevin Owens, if he manages to defeat Strowman and win the Money in the Bank briefcase earlier in the night, while the most discussed scenario is the possibility of a much-talked-about Strowman cash-in, with the monster among men spoiling the party for whoever wins out of Lesnar and Reigns. Whether it's Reigns, Strowman or Owens, it seems likely that one of those 3 superstars will win the Universal Championship at SummerSlam, but Strowman is clearly the best option. Given all the uncertainty regarding when Lesnar's contract actually expires, the inevitability of him returning to UFC soon for an early 2019 fight against Daniel Cormier and his virtually non-existent effect on the WWE Network subscriber count or Raw TV viewership, it's safe to say that WWE can and should move on from him as Universal Champion. Raw, quite simply, needs a full-time Universal Champion, which is something it hasn't had for the last 18 months and has been detrimental to the Red brand's product, which has struggled to create entertaining programming with an absentee Lesnar as its top title holder. Raw's biggest stars need something concrete worth fighting for, which is why Reigns, Strowman or even Owens, but preferably Strowman, whose popularity continues to soar, could presumably leave SummerSlam as the hero who was able to slay the beast. The problem with Reigns beating Lesnar, however, is that most fans don't want to see Reigns win the title, and if he does beat Lesnar and then fall victim to a Strowman cash-in, that's not going to help Reigns get more cheers from fans. If anything, the reverse is true because Reigns will be the de facto heel in a potential feud with Strowman. WWE needs to help further establish Strowman as one of WWE's biggest stars, and having him cash in on the Beast would do that by ending Lesnar's reign of terror and potentially setting the stage for a number of intriguing post-SummerSlam stories involving Reigns and Strowman that could carry WWE this fall, when the 2 stars are advertised to headline a number of Raw Live events against one another. While the specifics of how this goes down aren't as important, what truly matters is simply that WWE does what is best for the Raw product at SummerSlam and ensures we don't go another several months waiting for Lesnar to defend his title and not being sure when he'll do it. That means it's best for all parties involved if Lesnar defeats Reigns, only for Strowman to become WWE's biggest hero by ending Lesnar's disastrously long title reigns mere moments later.
Sarah Ali Khan shines like 1,000 suns. After making Instagram debut, Sarah Ali Khan shines like 1,000 suns. See pic. Sarah Ali Khan, who turned 23 years old recently, was welcomed by filmmaker Karan Johar on Instagram. Saif Ali Khan and Amrital Singh's daughter Sarah Ali Khan made her social media debut on Independence Day, pleasing her innumerable fans. Now, the actress has finally shared her picture and we just can't keep our eyes off. In the photo, the diva is shining like 1,000 suns. Sporting striped t-shirt and ripped jeans, Sarah has left her hair loose in the sun-kissed photo. Have a look. She captioned the photo, "If you want to shine like the sun, burn like the sun." Sarah Ali Khan, who turned 23 years old recently, was welcomed by filmmaker Karan Johar on Instagram. Sharing a selfie with her, Joe wrote, "Welcome to gorgeous and stunning at Sarah High95 on Instagram." Within an hour, she garnered over lakh followers, which included many celebs. Her contemporary Janhvi Kapoor, who made her debut recently with Doddak, co-starring Ishan Khatter, was also among the first ones to follow her. Sarah will enter Bollywood with Abhishek Kapoor's Kedarnath co-starring Sushant Singh Rajput, which is slated to release in November. She will also be seen in Rohit Shetty's Simba along with Ranveer Singh. Simba is the remake of Telugu movie Temper and will release in December. Newbie Sara Ali Khan is obsessed with Chirdakurta and we just can't get enough of her. Meanwhile, Sarah is already an internet sensation and the entire credit goes to her fashion sense. From ethnic outfits to Western attires, we have seen her in different avatars and we definitely know that white is her favorite. Even before her Instagram debut, social media was flooded with her fan pages and fake accounts. More Bollywood stories and picture galleries. For all latest news and updates, stay tuned to our Facebook page.